music often saved her from her mother and father's confrontations.
I had to witness a lot of, arguments at times and things like that, and it was my way of getting out of that situation.
You know she wanted to succeed. You may not know that what was supposed to be her big break was a shattering disappointment.
I was like tears running down my face at 8 years old. I was like, congratulations, I'm really happy for you.
And just when she'd almost given up hope,
God, I'm never gonna get discovered. No one's ever gonna know about me.
her dream came true. Find out what you don't know about the struggles and triumphs of a new sensation. This week, inside the life and career of Christina Aguilera.
Right here, right now, 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 right here, 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 here.
Fast-breaking Mickey Mouse Club alumna Christina Aguilera.
Christina Aguilera's
budding teen star.
teen genie, Christina Aguilera.
This is her lifelong dream.
Yes, she's beautiful.
She's one of the greats.
Yes, she's a fabulous dancer.
Got the sister that sings, and she's gonna make it someday.
She's at the top of her class.
But more than anything, she's an incredible vocalist.
I'm a genie in a bottle, baby. Come on and let me out.
Well, I was born in Staten Island, New York.
We traveled quite a bit.
My father being in the military, I traveled around a lot.
He was in the Army at the time.
From New York,
Pennsylvania,
Texas,
New Jersey,
Japan for 3 years.
When she was little, she didn't play like other kids in the sense that, I'm going to be a nurse, I'm going to be a secretary, I'm going to be a pilot. It was always entertainment.
I, adore Julie Andrews and The Sound of Music.
That, I think, actually started everything.
I would just sing to this over and over, and I'd imagine that I had, an audience.
The hills are alive with the sound of music.
Whenever Maria, came out, she was on the hills. It's so cheesy, but she just looked so free to me. My grandma was actually the first one that realized this is, something more than just something that a kid likes to do.
Even though I knew she could sing well, unusually well, for some reason it just didn't dawn on me, and my mom said, oh my gosh, would you listen to her?
Everybody's searching for a hero. People need someone to look up to.
It was what I latched onto because of the fact that my parents were separated later on and divorced. It's like I had to witness a lot of, arguments at times and things like that, and it was my way of getting out of that situation.
When I left the marriage, I moved from Fort Dix back home with my mother in Pennsylvania.
As I got older, it became a real form of release. On my worst days, it became something that I could release all my bad energy out through. My voice was what I used as my form of release, as my expression. At around ages 6 or 7, I was singing at local pool parties, block parties.
You hear a lot of stuff, oh, her mother must force her to go out there, because there's a lot of stage mothers out there, And I was so determined not to be one of those, But you want to see a grumpy kid, you let a few weeks go by when she was a little thing and no block parties were available. The same mothers and young people who heard her during the elementary school talent show when she was in first grade nagged the living daylights out of me to send in a tape to Star Search.
It was a big thing back then, We did it sort of as, oh, let's just see what happens. We didn't expect anything, and then we got the call back.
Please give an international welcome to Christina Aguilera.
I got out there. It was funny what I wore. I wore my mom's old, disco going days shirt, because it was a shirt, but at 8 years old, it fit me like a dress.
Kind of love, a love to last past Saturday night.
I was pretty happy when I walked off the stage,
All right, let's see what the judges have to say. Champion Christopher Eason. Congratulations.
I was really upset, pretty much as soon as I got off the stage.
And she was just so crushed backstage, just crying and everything. I said, hey, you gotta go shake his hand.
I was tears running down my face at 8 years old. I was like, congratulations, I'm really happy for you.
And then the whole bottom started falling out with the people in the town.
People started changing, and alienation sort of began.
As each year progressed, it got worse and worse, and she tried to keep it to herself, and she tried not to talk about it.
So it was like a small town, and, you know, I just lived a completely different lifestyle than what my peers were in school, and you know, it causes, you know, certain problems.
By the time we reached about 6th grade, she couldn't stand it. She was having nightmares. We were getting threats. My phone had to be tapped.
And it's like I couldn't win either way, because it's like, oh, so sing for us, Christina. And I'd be like, well, come on, you guys were hanging out. Let's, you know, let's not do. If I would sing, they'd be like, oh, well, look, she's bragging again. Da 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 da. She's singing what she does on stage all the time. And then if I wouldn't, it would be like, oh, well, she thinks she's too good to sing for us.
Finally, by 6th grade, we had to move because I just couldn't put her through it again. Plus, it was getting kind of scary. It was ridiculous. So we moved to Wexford. One day, I was reading, either me or my mother, I can't remember which, we were reading the Pittsburgh newspaper and ran across this tiny, tiny little ad that talked about an open audition for the Mickey Mouse Club.
It was so many different kids, and it was just cut after cut after cut, and it took all day long. I'd gotten every cut I passed.
So we went home feeling really great, but then you never hear anything, never heard anything.
I knew, basically, that, you know, no one's calling, so I didn't make it.
Something like 2 years later, she gets a call back that they had held on to her tape.
Oh, well, before she was too young to be on the show, but now, you know, being 12 years old and whatever, we want her to come back and audition again.
Oh, gosh, she just lost it. She was jumping up and down, and she cried. She was so happy.
It's like, oh my gosh, I totally, like, you know, freaked out. It was really, really cool. And then from there, I packed my bags, and I went with my mom and sister and to Orlando.
When we come back, Christina becomes a part of a group of child stars earmarked for fame.
Part of the new cast, part of this 6 new cast was me, and then there was Justin from NSYNC that you know now, and Britney Spears.
For Christina Aguilera, a spot on the Mickey Mouse Club was the beginning of a dream come true. But following that dream would mean family upheaval, unexpected disappointment, and taking some very big chances.
Part of the new cast, part of this 6 new cast was me, and then there was Justin from NSYNC that you know now, and Britney Spears.
You couldn't separate Britney and Christina. I mean, they were best friends.
There were like so many other kids that all of a sudden loved performing and loved entertaining, and it was such good energy to be around that.
Well, see, my parents are clowns. We throw pies all the time. At dinner time, on vacations, family reunions.
We were getting prepared to go back to start filming the 3rd year. I was all excited. I was getting ready to go, and then, you know, all of a sudden it was canceled.
She actually got the very final word when the decision was made by phone, and she just started crying.
But then it was time to go to the next step. I knew that I had always wanted to be a recording artist, so I needed some sort of representation, and it was really tough because being from Pittsburgh, it's like there was nobody there, really, because it's not an entertainment-based place. I actually had a connection. SWV actually came as a guest star on the Mickey Mouse Club.
Behind the set, in the makeup room, Christina was by herself. She was singing to herself, thinking no one was around.
Somebody happened to hear me just singing in the hall.
And the next thing you know, here's this lady who was traveling with SWV, and she's asking for Christina Aguilera's mother, you know, and I'm like, what happened? What went wrong? And she just gave me her card and said, I know this wonderful manager. You know, if the show ever cancels, you know, give me a call because I can introduce you to him. He's really, really good. And of course, she was talking about Norman Kurtz.
My father called me to say that he had seen this girl, met this girl, and he was extremely excited about her, at which point I asked him, how old is she? And he said 15. And as the joke goes, I said, have her call when she's legal, because at the time the marketplace really wasn't prime for, you know, teen, fresh vocalists. We were just coming off Nirvana and Pearl Jam, and that was sort of the vibe at the time.
I'd gone over to Romania to represent the U.S. in an international talent competition. And then it really opened my eyes that there's a whole world out there, you know what I mean? And I wanted to get out there and have a piece of it.
The market was changing more towards youth-oriented, like Hanson and the such, and she was getting older and getting more experience.
We'd gotten a few demo songs together.
And then we put a plan into place to shop her in the fall.
Norman Kurtz called me and he said, I need to see you. So he came in with his son, Steve Kurtz, and played a demo tape of a girl that was 15 years old. And I was very impressed. So I put it in an envelope with a little note on it, and I sent it to Ron.
Ron, R.E. Christina Aguilera. She's 16, lives in Pittsburgh, has star quality. And then he had a little analysis of some of the songs, and it said, any interest? Call me. So I took a meeting with Christina and her management.
I was so nervous. I was so nervous. I looked at the door, I was like, thinking about seriously leaving.
Christina came into the meeting, and it's hard to say whether she really understood at that time and at that age that it was kind of like a big career meeting taking place.
Oh, I got it, but a calm comes over me. You know what I mean? It's like, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta face it.
She was very much in her own zone and, you know, tremendously cute, and I just said to her,
so sing for me. You know what I mean? He's like, so sing. And he totally put me on the spot.
She said, right now, right here, you want me to just sing? And I said, yeah, a cappella, just sing. So she said, okay, and nailed the song. I started off by offering her manager, Steve, what I call garden variety boilerplate demo deal. But in the process, a buddy of mine called me from Disney, and they had this sort of problematic song that was the end title of Mulan called Reflection. I thought of Christina.
Look at me, you may think you see who I really am, but you'll never know me.
This random phone call came from my manager one day who was like, Christina, there's this thing for Disney, it's a movie, can you belt the high E above middle C? So I took a karaoke tape of Whitney Houston's I Wanna Run To You from the Bodyguard soundtrack, went in my bathroom, like to my shower stall, and it was so bad because it sounded so cheesy and so tinny, but I had to prove that I could sing this note, and I did it. People say it's the note that changed my life.
Within about 3 days, she was on her way to LA with her manager to meet with Matthew Wilder and the producer and writer of the song. We all got together. They taught her the song. She sang it once. By the time she was about 5 seconds into the first verse, she had the job.
Now I see if I wear a mask, I can fool the world, but I cannot fool my heart.
She sang Reflection at 8 o'clock in the morning on CBS This Morning, which was an incredibly difficult thing to do.
A lot of people were apprehensions at the time, you know, of this new girl, you know, they heard the record and everything. A lot of people are like, oh, can she do it live? Can she do this? You know, is it as good? And it was like my moment to be able to prove myself.
I had actually heard of Christina when she did the Mulan song, Reflection, and I heard it and I go, who's that singing? You know, and then I'd heard her name, I heard she was 15 or 16 years old. I'm going, damn, she's really good.
I think it was summer of '98 that Christina got on a plane, got a hotel room, came out to LA, and we started.
I was on that plane going, oh my gosh, you know, I'm making this happen. You know, it's something that I've always dreamt about, always wanted, and I was like, I'm doing it for real. I'm going to make my record. It was the coolest moment ever when you have that sort of realization.
What a girl.
When we come back, Christina sets out to record her debut album.
And all of a sudden, I just realized, wow, I'm signed to like a record company now. They kind of own me a little bit. You know, it just sort of became like, oh wow, I'm a product now.
Next on New Sensation, Christina Aguilera. With a dazzling performance on the Mulan soundtrack and a label deal, Christina was ready to make her first record. It was a moment she dreamed of her entire life. But with industry pressures, media backbiting, and creative frustrations that she'd never imagined.
When she went to record her album in LA is when it kind of hit us, I think.
Leaving Wexford, Pennsylvania, moving to Los Angeles, staying in a hotel when she was 17.
It was really lonely, you know. It's like all of a sudden to be taken out of Pittsburgh to this, you know, city, and being surrounded with so much at once.
I think particularly at night, it must have been tough for her because she's home alone in a hotel room when her friends are back in school, going to the TGIF or the school football game.
If I would have been in school, like at that school desk, I'd been looking out the window saying, oh God, you know, what would have happened if I would have done it, if I would have gone out there and really followed it, follow my dreams.
What a girl wants, what a girl needs.
I don't think at that particular point, like on the first day of her arrival in Los Angeles to record, that she really ever... I knew what her dream was, but I don't think she ever realized that it was about to come true.
Thank you for giving me time to breathe.
The first song I recorded was actually What a Girl Wants. What a Girl Wants was cool, you know what I mean, to start out with. I had my own ideas of what I wanted to sound like, what I wanted to look like, this and that. And all of a sudden, I just realized, wow, I'm signed to like a record company now.
The way the album was taking shape, we knew we had something very special.
I started contacting, you know, all of my buddies and my friends in my salon of creative people to start to collect a group of tunes that would become her first album. There was very few cases where a song appeared and we just took it. But one of those cases was Genie in a Bottle.
Here we go.
My body's saying let's go. But my heart's saying no.
At the time, it was called If You Want to Be With Me. And I listened to it, and I said, Ron, yeah, nice song. Well, let's record it. And Ron was like, no, this is the song.
I really thought that that Genie could be that first single, and I always believed in it. And then I had to talk her into it.
I liked it, but it definitely lacked soul.
Her concern was that she had this great voice, and she wanted the whole world to know about it right now.
Britney was already happening, and NSYNC was happening, and the Backstreet Boys had certainly happening, so the teen marketplace was very ripe.
So we needed something fresh and youthful.
We did a series of invitation-only showcases in really nice venues.
Performing for people for about 20, 25 minutes.
The one that sticks out in my mind actually was the one that we did for MTV and VH1.
It was an audience that has seen it all, been there, done that. It was like they were going to sit back and say, oh, impress me.
And she just opened her mouth and started singing.
The days are over.
I was just raving. This girl can knock you through a freaking wall with her notes.
4 weeks later, we released the video.
She is officially entering the world of TRL at number 9 today with her debut song, Genie in a Bottle.
I watched it for the first time and I said something to the effect of, oh God, this has TRL written all over it.
I think, you know, the hit meter was running pretty high on that.
I mean, we were just jumping around the house the first time we heard it on the radio.
It was just like, wow, you know what I mean? This is my video, and it's it's being played.
Everything that you look at every week on the growth of a single or an album was positive.
We watched it go from like 63 to 30 to 12 to 2. I mean, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was an absolute meteoric rise through the chart, and in like 5 weeks it became a #1 record.
I'm a genie in a bottle, baby. Come on and let me out.
We didn't know what was going to happen with the record.
I got the feeling that it was going to do well. You know what I mean? From what everybody was saying, and from Genie in a Bottle, the single having gone #1 and whatnot. But also there were a lot of other big records coming out that week, including Puff Daddy's.
We all were certain that Puffy was going to debut at #1.
But the numbers were coming back the first few days after the weekend sales, and we're like, holy cow, what's going on?
I got a call from my record company people.
I said, are you ready for this?
He's like, your album's going to debut at #1. It's the #1 album tomorrow.
And she's like, no. I'm like, yes, your album debuted at #1.
Seeing my name in a #1 spot on a Billboard chart was something I'd always imagined, you know, something I've always wanted. It was the most amazing thing in the world.
The first thing that I ever thought about Christina was I felt sorry for her because you couldn't read an article about her without seeing Britney Spears.
I'm an 18-year-old girl. You know what I mean? Of course I'm going to have similarities to other young people out there. But in all, it's like, I'm the new girl.
I remember thinking, wow, she's going to have to really ride this one out.
Some of us have started in the same place, but it'll be different in the long run. I did my first appearance on Total Request Live.
She wrote me a note when she was here at TRL, like on a little yellow, what do you call it, like a wipe it, you know, type thing, or whatever. And it just said,
"Hi, Carson. So sorry I missed you. Look forward to meeting you soon. Love, Christina." That was all it took.
Pick up a USA Today. On the front page of the Life section, there's something about
Christina uncorked secret crush. And it was this whole thing based on, like, how I have this crush on Carson Daly.
I hadn't even met her at that point.
My first little scandal gossip thing.
She has a timeless talent, and the timelessness of her talent can carry her through a couple of years, you know, a couple of decades, even if she wants it to.
She's got the voice, she's got the talent.
I've worked too hard for this just to stop now.
I wouldn't want to say that she is really a star. I think you become a star over a much longer period of time.
This is totally what I want to do, and I'll keep taking it to the next level and seeing where it goes.
I began to